Hello and welcome to Peeves and Qs, a podcast where we ask each other questions and talk about what's annoying us each and every week. I'm your host, Mr. Red, also known as Alex, and with me is the clever girl,
also known as Jody.
and we have two special guests whose names I don't know. We'll start with you.
Pretty sure you know him.
Amanda.
Do you have a weird
Alias?
name, or is it just Amanda?
Silas.
Cool.
What's up?
What about you?
My name's Adam. They call me Autumn. Don't worry about why.
Who's they?
My friends.
All right.
Just friends. Don't
They
worry
sound
about
fake.
it. You're fake.
And how do you two know the host?
We're related.
Well, yeah.
I have no idea.
That's another question.
You just showed up here.
I just wandered in and they were like, hey, what's up?
Well, you're my brother.
Yes, I am brother and sister with you two.
And
Yeah.
yes,
You are brother and sister.
we were
Yeah.
birthed by the same
Yeah.
mother.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And procreated by the same father.
These are my
Same- well,
sisters. I love
right.
them.
Definitely not the same father here.
Yeah, seriously.
The milkman had some work that day.
Yes.
All right. So this is the Sibling Special. That's what a good name that we're doing. So we have an outsider
that.
here, which is Jody.
I've been here long enough.
Yeah, she's been here long enough. She's honorary. So yeah, how are you guys? That's our first segment. That's the first thing
That's
we do.
another
Is,
question.
Yeah, it is. That's
Another
like,
question,
man,
yeah.
he's like togging all the questions
Right, I'm
today.
taking
No.
them up.
Rude. How dare
Nothing.
you?
How are you guys?
Wait, that's the same question.
Yeah, it's the same question. Adam, you're home.
I'm home.
Right. I've talked about you before.
Yeah, we've
Have
talked
you?
about
What's
we've
your
talked about moving
situation?
on the podcast.
I'm home for a couple of weeks. I'm on leave from the Navy.
From the
'cause-
Navy?
Yes.
Where are you stationed?
Jacksonville, Florida.
And what do you like about it?
Why are you talking like a television
Because
host?
our audience wants to know.
That's a great question.
You're like Ellen.
Why?
You're like,
You're like- you're like, what?
what do you like about it?
What on earth do I like about it?
So, I think it's yeah.
You're taking too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, what don't you like about it? What's the worst thing about it? What's the worst thing about Florida?
Oh, the
Definitely not the
drivers.
girls.
Answer
drivers?
one of
The
those
drivers.
questions. The drivers in
The
Florida. yeah,
drivers.
they're famously bad.
Speaking of drivers,
Those
Amanda.
screwdrivers,
What?
yeah.
What? Go, Amanda. Get do it.
What?
Say something.
What?
Hello. No, we're not.
Yeah,
we're not
Oh, we're not there yet.
segueing right into peeves. No.
Forget that I said words.
All right.
so to the drivers in Florida, they're awful.
They're terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like.
Like,
Like, what's the
Like
worst
what?
experience you've had?
Tell
with
us a
drivers?
story about drivers.
I was parked I wasn't parked. I was driving down the road. It was a 3-lane road, so I'm in the center lane of the 3 roads going south. And I was stopped at a red light. There was 2 or 3 cars in front of me, and both lanes on the left and right side of me were both full. So I'm boxed in, I'm just waiting for the red light. And then I looked in my rear view mirror at the last second to see a big Dodge Caravan, like, coming probably like 30, 35 miles an hour, still just not slowing down.
Yeah.
And he just rams me.
Oh,
Oh no.
And it totaled my vehicle, and I hit the car in front of me. And then as soon as the light turned green, the guy that it was in front of me that I hit, he took off. He was gone.
Whoa.
you
I was
didn't
like-
want to deal with that.
I was like, oh, well, that
didn't-
saved me from getting a ticket. But
That's true.
drivers in Florida, terrible.
How many cars have you crashed in Florida?
That's a good question.
2.
How many cars have you crashed? Period.
Yeah.
2.
No.
that's not true.
Incorrect.
Man.
The van doesn't count. That
Yes,
was
it
That
does.
wasn't a crash. That, was a boop.
great
You
story.
saw it. You totaled it.
You ran into a phone pole.
Oh, I was thinking of the TV in the back
Oh
of the van.
yeah,
too.
I was
That
thinking of that
too.
too. Actually,
Adam's just
The hood popping up, that
has the
thing.
best-
That doesn't
luck.
count, though. That's not me crashing a vehicle. That's a freak
count.
accident.
all right.
Amanda, how many cars have you crashed?
12.
One. But
Oh, you
technically,
have? Oh, yeah,
technically
that's
I
right,
didn't
that's
crash
right.
it.
Or Mr.
I didn't
Red.
crash it. Somebody
how
else
many,
did.
How many libraries have you crashed?
Yes! Our audience doesn't know about
The
this
statute
story.
of limitations on that event is passed. That doesn't count anymore.
Go ahead.
I
Never
told
happened.
I told my friends this
You gotta
story
tell the
at
story
college
now.
the other
I don't
day, and
understand why-
everybody was cracking up.
This doesn't seem like that
It's
big
a
a
great
story.
story.
It's
All right.
it's my favorite story.
It's pretty funny.
So I was first learning to drive. I had, I think, my learner's permit, not my license.
It was your
and
permit.
yeah, and I was in the car. I was driving. My father,
She knows the
who
story
may or
now.
may not be in the room currently,
Hi, Father.
I was there.
was in the passenger seat, and Silas over here was in the back seat. And we were in this minivan, and we were at a library. We rolled up into the back to park in the parking lot. Nobody else was in this parking
Here
lot.
they rolled up.
They rolled. They
leaning
see
back.
rolling.
Yeah, they see me rolling.
Rolling.
And then, so we pulled up to the spot, and it didn't have those partitions, those things. They do now.
A guardrail?
Yeah, guardrail. Well, no, it's like those yellow blocks on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, I will park in front of, like, facing the building right next to, there's like parking spots right facing the wall, you know how that works. And instead of approaching it and stopping the way people do, you know.
I wanted to be creative.
I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with it. So instead what I did was I pressed the gas instead of the brake and went careening straight through the wall of the library.
And how many
ended up
children died
inside
that
it.
day?
Nobody was hurt. Nobody was in the room. We were all fine inside the vehicle.
Thankfully.
But
I still have like war flashbacks to that day.
Yeah.
You know what makes me mad about the TV situation?
Oh, that's another story.
Yeah. I didn't get to go play Magic that night.
Well, okay. Cry me a river.
Mom grounded
Your life
me.
is so
this library
hard.
was across the street from your guys' old house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you inside and we're like, what the?
It wasn't
what
across-
happened?
It was like
I'm playing Call of Duty or something. I just hear bang. Alex.
It was pretty much across the street.
It was like down the road, around the corner.
It was
probably like
it was a couple miles.
It was
down
like
the
3
road.
blocks away.
Anyway.
3 blocks.
So that's your story.
Yeah.
Apparently everybody tells that story. So nobody lets me live that down, even though it happened, I believe, 18,000 years ago. So
18,000.
It was 10 years ago.
pretty
That's
sure.
Ooh, man, Amanda's always on my side about like getting these correct.
Yeah, we talked about this before, where we're like, oh, you know, that movie came out like a couple years ago, 2 or 3 or whatever. It was 4 years
I know.
ago exactly.
We have to say like.
Speaking of-
exactly
I
when it
got
is.
the time frame right.
I
Speaking
just
of
did the
which-
math about it the other day when I was telling my friends about it because I was 8 years old when it happened.
Speaking
Great.
of which, things that like you wouldn't think were more like as recent as they seem. The musical Mamma Mia.
What?
You two and this musical, I
It's
swear.
great.
It's a
Who
great.
doesn't
Mamma
love
Mia is
ABBA?
phenomenal. You shut your mouth.
The very first time I came over to your guys' house,
right.
we were watching movies because Alex had just had surgery, and you come in and you're like, "Let's watch Mamma Mia."
It was his idea.
My first introduction to Adam is, "We need to watch Mamma Mia."
But
That's a great first impression.
it looks like a 90s movie, right? Doesn't it? 2008.
Yeah, no,
It's-
it seems like
It
a
does
mid
not- yeah, I was
2000s
gonna say
movie.
It seems like a
I've always thought it was like a mid to late 90s movie, and then the sequel, the second one, came about. Here We Go Again.
It just came out this year, right?
2018. I'm thinking.
Did you see it in theater?
I did.
Of
yes.
course you did.
I wanted to see it
Twice.
You
So
did.
the first-
and he never even saw Infinity War.
Yeah, you missed Infinity War, but you saw Mamma Mia 2 twice.
The day it came out, and then 2 days
Priorities.
later.
Because of Cher, right?
What?
Because of Cher. Do you know who Cher is?
It's always because of Cher.
I know
He knows who
Cher
she is in
I just-
context of the movie now.
I didn't know. No, I mean, I knew who she was. I didn't even recognize that she was in the movie.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't pay that close
My mom
attention.
wanted to see it just to see Cher.
Really?
Yeah.
Although
I was
Valid.
just excited for Meryl
is
Streep.
a good point that movie came out the same year The Dark Knight
I was
and-
just gonna say, guess what else came out in 2008?
Wait.
Iron Man.
It came out
first
the
one or the
same year
second?
you hit
First
the
one.
library.
All right. Well,
Oh, damn.
Actually. Oh, it did!
whoa.
10 years ago.
Settle down there, Skippy.
Man, 10 years ago, The Dark Knight came out. That's a decade
That's
old.
a decade old. It's crazy.
You know what else is a decade old? 10-year-olds?
Is that your question?
All right.
No.
Let's move on. All right, so that's how we are. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about before we
I
get
kind
to...
of do. Amanda started college this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
It's a lot of fun. I'm making a lot of friends. Everybody's super
Awesome.
cool.
Hey, tell all your friends to listen to this podcast.
You know what? I will. I will.
This episode will come out 1 week from today, actually.
12
Ooh.
days from now.
What?
Incorrect.
Do you
Learn how to
find
count.
the, like, how's it different from high school in your perspective?
Good
Oh,
question.
it is so much different. Like,
It's the same.
it,
You don't know. You never went to college.
Yeah, you never went to
I'm the only
Freeloader.
one.
Freeloader.
I'm a
Yeah.
freeloader.
Fights for our country.
Right.
Freeloader.
freeloader.
Everybody is just super chill. Like in high
Yes.
school, like to make a friend, you had to like go up to somebody and be like, here's my entire life story. Here's like a full application I'm going to fill out. Do you want to spend time with me?
I feel like she had
And then-
really messed up friends if that's how
I
she had
really-
made
Listen, we're not
friends.
all social butterflies like you.
It's not hard.
but
I make
Hi,
all my
how are
friends
you?
fill out the friendship requisition form. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
guys.
I'm also a very standoffish person.
it was, it's
Hi,
very
how are
difficult.
you? We're friends now. Cool.
It's very difficult to make friends in high school unless you like really truly try.
It is.
Or if you're just really good at it, like you.
Or you have like
Yeah.
you are in the same activities
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. But then in college, it's almost as simple as just walking into a room and saying, like, what's up? I'm in the mood for some peanut butter. And 7 people will be like, well, here you go. I got some peanut butter for you.
You should not take peanut butter from school.
You should.
Do people carry around peanut
I
butter
mean,
in
they
college?
make those like Go-Gurts. with
Yeah,
peanut butter.
yeah, they're really good. They're so
I
good.
didn't say I eat that. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with all y'all eat that Goobers crap? That
Go-Gurts?
No,
Goobers.
What?
Goobers
The peanut
rules.
butter and the jelly in the
that
same
stuff is
jar.
gross.
No, it's awesome.
That stuff is gross.
You
I
stick
am
a spoon
I
right
love
in
that.
there. Yeah,
No,
I love
you-
great. It's
I'm
so
glad
You
we're
guys-
divided. That's disgusting.
I forgot.
The jelly gets all watery all over the
and then the peanut
butter.
That's
peanut
why
butter
you
like
stir it
hardens up. Ew.
You stir it.
Stop.
Okay, I don't know
Stop.
about that. That's weird. I don't know if you want to say this, so I was trying to have like a natural cut so you can say, but you're in the theater program at your school. So
theater major.
that's what's different between you and I think everybody else who ever went to college.
Probably.
That is incredibly true. Theater
Yeah.
majors are
They're
Theater
a breed of
ruins.
their own.
Yeah.
Theater
It's
ruins
true.
children.
What?
And
Theater.
Incorrect.
I was gonna say
Just
the
ignore
only
him.
one. Oh yeah, you've done a show. Or what show did you do? Schoolhouse Rock, was it? And what happened in that show?
I fell
He
over.
was a scary bear, wasn't he?
And he
But I-
fell flat on his ass.
That was awesome. That was a great moment.
But
While wearing tights, I should add.
that was completely separate from the bear, though.
No, you were wearing tights. That's why you slipped.
No, I slipped on the pant leg of the bear.
And also he was wearing tights.
I just happened to also.
But they're not correlated at all.
All right, well, we'll let history be the judge of that.
That's why you
Anyway,
hate theaters.
the point
I
is
actually
for,
don't hate theater. I just theater
people-
ruins children.
for people who are in less fun programs, it is a lot harder when you're
Yeah.
older because everyone's like, I'm living my own life and I
Yeah.
don't really want to
Yeah, I
interact with each
didn't
other.
make a ton of friends in college until I got into my dance program, and that's just because you're with those people all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then also when I got in my dental program, because again, you're with those people all day.
That's probably
every
why.
single
That's
day.
probably why it was easier for me because of sports teams. You're with those people
all the
like
time.
5 days a week, sometimes
Right.
Yeah.
2-3 hours a day.
So it's definitely
All right, well,
I definitely found like the second high school ends, all that stuff that you're so worried about, you're just like, none of that matters.
that's
Yeah.
very true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're just like, oh, I can't. And you try to tell yourself that.
When
Your
you're in
parents
high
try
school.
and tell you that, like, 10 years from now this won't matter, and you're like, no, it's the most important thing in my life right now. And then it ends, and you're just like,
I
it does
have to
not
go to
matter.
this.
Yeah.
I have to go to this track meet. But you don't, though.
But you don't. But I don't.
There was probably like 4% of high school students that have to go to track meets.
and they're
That's it.
and they're like in track. and,
Exactly.
like, yeah.
You definitely are the odd bird of this family. Like being in sports in high school and just
true.
in every kind of aspect.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it keeps it interesting. We can move on now.
All right, so
Interest.
who would like to? We're gonna move on to our next segment. Peeves. Who would like to?
Like the ghost?
I love him.
Who would like to ghost first?
The Poltergeist. Peeves the Poltergeist from Harry Potter.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist?
You
Poltergeist.
stupid.
Okay.
To be fair.
Hey, guys. Hello?
Do you want to go first?
I forgot what my beat
All right.
was.
Do you want to go first?
Okay. So, similar to Adam's backstory, my peeve is bad drivers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get a lot of road
Did you
rage.
just knife hand me?
No.
What?
It looked like that's how she pointed at me. Was like that. And I was like,
Listen,
It's an audio
I was
medium.
also that, but people who, point using their whole hand, they do that in Disney World,
yeah.
'Cause they can't point with one finger.
They do it with 2 fingers.
When I read it, it was the
they're
whole hand.
They're giving directions.
Yeah.
Well, this
Your
way.
exits are in the front of the plane and the back of the plane.
Anyway.
Anyway, bad drivers.
drivers.
Yeah. So it's a 45-minute drive to school every day.
That's
Oh.
terrible.
And
That's ending
Oh.
soon.
That's nothing.
that is ending soon. I
I
will
was
be
going to
moving
say,
out there.
your brothers.
I'm moving out there by the end of the month. But in driver's training, I learned that there's like one almost accident every 40 miles you drive. I drive 40 miles
And
to
you're like,
school.
I'm definitely going to see an accident every single
One almost accident.
Yeah,
every 40
like
miles.
you are in one almost accident is how my teacher described it. That like you don't always get into the accident, but it's like somebody might swerve into your
Right.
lane a little bit or or
you might drift.
you might miss
Yeah.
something, and so
Seems
twice a day,
You're at risk.
and it's terrifying,
Scary
and
stuff.
the people.
Stop making fun of her.
I can't help it.
The people out there are very terrible drivers. I've had people like cut me off like every single day.
Stop.
You
Okay, you
can't
remember your
mouth-
peeve. Yeah, good for you.
Congratulations.
Adam is mouthing things to everyone else, but for no reason. Like, we don't care. We'll get to you later.
Let me finish my story. I'm important.
I just wanted to
She
let
has
you know.
the stick.
All right, please go.
So yeah, like even just in the parking lot at school, like some lady cut me off. I was going very slow, luckily, and she like whipped out of her parking spot and then like waved to me like, "Thanks for letting me go in front of you." And I was like, I did not let you go in front of me. If I had kept
So you
going,
just like point at them and just like
I know.
follow.
I just looked at her. I was like, because
Yeah.
because if I had kept going, like she would have hit me. Like I didn't have a choice. I had to stop. And she's like, "Thanks for letting me through." Like
Next time, teach her a lesson. Just hit her.
Hit her.
Bam!
Great Adam advice. For
Pull out in
your
front of me.
mother. Good.
I don't have the insurance for that.
Right.
Yeah, because she doesn't serve our country.
Right.
She's not a freeloader.
I don't get free insurance. I still have to pay for car insurance.
All right. Well, that's very interesting because that will transition into my peeve, which is similar to drivers. It's this thing that I find happens to me all the time. No, happens to me all the time, which is I will approach a four-way stop or maybe even like a two-way or whatever, and actually probably not a two-way, four-way stop, and I will get there, but I will very clearly and obviously get there after somebody else. Now, do you guys know the rules about four-way stops?
First
What are
person
the
to
first
stop.
person to stop, then go?
And if you don't know, you let the person to your right go.
Right, the
Yeah.
person to your right.
Unless they got there last, then you're just like,
You just panic, and then
this-
everybody's like waving each other.
and then
Somebody goes and,
then
dies.
No, somebody starts to go, but
And then
then
the other
at the
person
same
starts
time,
to
someone
go.
else, you're just like,
And then you go again, you do it.
are you gonna go?
I feel like every single time I get to a four-way stop and there's somebody else there, that person will always get there first and then wait for me to pull up and stop and then like try to push me ahead as if they're being nice. But it happens so much that I wonder if I'm the idiot and I don't know
Maybe.
where I'm stopping.
Well, you're definitely never mind.
All right. But the thing, like, every time this happens, it's baffling.
Every time.
Every
I one time stopped at a four-way stop
That's
and somebody
wild.
waved me on.
That is
They
wild.
waved me on to go. When it was my turn, I was like, "You don't have to wave
You're
me
like,
on."
thanks, I was gonna go
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, it was like, I understand, but thanks for the information. So I
That's why
stopped going, and
you
the
just look at it and
person
just be like-
that waved me on,
Nobody's
Then they started going?
they started
Ah,
going,
See?
That's
and
not
it
the
was
point,
like
it was
I
for
was
you.
turning, and they were going straight, and I had to slam on my
Right.
brake, and I was like, "Dude," and he looked at me, and he flipped me off, and I was like,
Oh, jeez.
"Excuse me?"
That's when you just hit him. Just
I considered it.
Solid advice.
I wish there was like this magic spell that was cast over the world where anybody had the opportunity to just like stop someone else's car, get out, and be like, "We need to have a conversation."
No, that's how people get
Oh.
shot.
Well, okay.
I
Part of
wish.
a magical spell can be don't let people get shot.
Well, that has to be first.
I
Okay.
wish.
that's
First, they don't get shot. Second, they talk to each other.
I almost jumped out of my car the
Yeah.
other day and like started
That's how you
beating
get
this
shot.
woman.
That's how
I
you
was
get
not
shot.
going to beat her, but
Right.
I was like screaming.
First
I was
of all,
so mad.
if you ever get into a fight, you will probably die because it's you.
She carries mace.
Actually,
And-
I don't anymore.
Oh, well.
You know how easy it is to go, oh, you have a can in your hand. Slap the can. Slap her hand.
Not if you're like, "Oh, you have a candy." Ah, my eyes!
I know, but if
Yeah.
you see somebody pulling it up and they're clearly doing this, it's really easy to get not get
Okay,
sprayed
always.
in the
We
face.
don't have-
Mace is very small and can hide in
Yeah,
your hand,
like
in
in
your
your hand.
in your keychain when you're holding it.
Yes,
it just
but
looks like you're holding
if you're
your
bringing
keychain.
up one hand and it's not in a punching motion,
Or if your keys are already in your hand in a fist form, like it's not going to be obvious.
Adam-
All you got to do is like flip the little switch and spray. And
yeah, but at the same time,
You're
are you
not
just
gonna
going to stand there and
notice.
let
You're missing the
somebody get hit with the keys?
I bet you're the type of guy that's like, I would never get shot because as soon as I see someone aim a gun at me, I'll just dodge. What's the problem?
No,
I'll
that's
just duck out of the
100%
way.
different.
Okay,
That-
I'll just
Bart
get out of
Kurlish.
the way.
But first of all, it's very easy to tell if somebody's going to spray you or hit you with something that's in their hand. So you can try and do your very best to not get sprayed in the face.
All right, let's just.
It's not hard.
Yeah, that's my peeve. So
Yes.
yeah. Oh, peeve closed. That's the thing we do. Peeve closed, and your peeve closed. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
What is this?
Cool. Yeah,
you
you
gotta
have to
chop
do
it.
that. Would you like to go?
Sure.
next?
Okay. Mine is a work peeve.
Adam, don't you forget yours.
Yeah, don't forget, lock it in.
Write it down.
Yours is a work peeve.
Yes, mine's a work peeve. It happened this week. I think it happened on Monday. Okay, so we're working on a 21-year-old. So I think that's a key part to this story.
Okay,
We're working on a
21
21-year-old.
Got it.
Spill the tea.
What?
So we have him laid back in a chair. Stop minding me. So we have him-
You're talking so much with your hands.
That's,
She
I
does
have
that.
always done that.
Always.
I feel like it needs to be pointed out that this whole entire episode so far, Adam has just been like waving his arms wildly, making
Yeah.
fun of whoever's talking, especially
You talk along with
Jody.
your hands.
That's
Yeah.
the fault. I
Let me
can't
kick you
actually
out.
talk.
Okay, so this 21-year-old was laying back in the chair, and we were working on him, and, like, I'm not kidding, like, every 5 seconds, so he's, like, laid back, mouth open, raises his phone up to check his phone. Every 5 seconds.
And does he hold it there? or
And
does
he
it just-
he was. And to the point where the doctor I was working with was like, please turn towards me, turned his head.
Yeah.
I still on the phone, like over here. And I could tell my doctor was getting pissed. But like,
That-
what do you say?
Put your phone away.
I mean, you could,
But
But-
Tell him that you have to turn the phone off because the frequencies will mess with the device.
like normal offices, they're like, no cell phones, like, usage beyond this point.
Yeah.
But
Not this one.
we've never really had that.
Because you never needed to. I
You
bet.
might need one now.
Apparently.
You should just bring in like just a Microsoft Word, no
Yeah.
phones beyond display, just tape it to the door
the
one
door.
day, and then
Don't tell
we'll just
anyone.
see how long it goes before somebody goes, wait a minute.
I have just never worked on somebody that, like, while we're working is, like, texting and, like, watching videos is what I honestly think he was doing. Because he held it there forever.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever.
Not 5 ever?
No, not 6 other either.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know, 21 years old.
Well, no. Yeah.
No.
I feel like you're too old to do that. I
Yeah.
can see, like, a 13-year-old maybe doing that, which
Maybe.
13-year-olds shouldn't have phones anyway. But,
Well,
yeah.
Accurate.
I was just
Yeah.
like,
that's frustrating. Well, like, you're in the middle of something.
What
He
is
was, like,
this?
balding. He was 21. I'm like...
What?
I said this kid was like balding and he was 21. Like,
Are you sure he was
clearly old
21 or
enough.
was he lying about his
It
age?
said on his sheet that he was 21.
No, see,
He was
the
lying
numbers
to
are
impress
backwards.
you.
He was obviously...
Maybe.
Wait a minute. Never mind.
12. Maybe.
Have you seen the picture of that? I might include this in the description, but it's like this person who the caption is like, "Hey, how old are you?" Somewhere between like 10 and 40. And someone's like, what are you talking about? Send a picture. And then it's a picture of this guy who's like,
Oh,
looks like
yeah.
he has a baby face, but he's in like
Balding.
a general
Yeah.
uniform. And he's like got a cigar, but it looks like not just baby face. It looks like it's an actual infant, like a baby.
Weird.
That's been dressed up. But it's like everything's proportioned correctly.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, it's very funny, but it's
I've
very
seen-
weird.
I've
Yeah.
seen those.
Yeah,
They're funny.
so
Anyway, if you're
It's probably
going to
that guy.
if you're going to any office, put your phone away. It can wait.
Yeah, it can
Unless your wife's in labor or you have a family member in the hospital. Pretty
Then you
sure.
probably
For
should
sure it can wait.
reschedule.
Or
Yeah.
You
if
should
you're
probably
driving,
reschedule
put
the
your phone
appointment.
away.
Oh, definitely. If you're driving, put the
yeah, if you're driving and you're getting dental work done, you should probably put your phone away. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing those.
Very
things.
important.
Right,
very
right.
important.
I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was dumbstruck at just how
On your scale of 1
it's
to
very
can't,
obtuse.
you just can't.
I just can't.
Just
like,
can't.
white girl can't even.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's
peeve.
on the 1 to even. You just can't.
Yeah.
Closed.
Peeve
All right.
closed.
Speaking of your picture thing,
Yeah.
somewhere between 10 and 40.
Uh-huh.
Did you see the one where it was the dog? It was like somewhere between Wolf and Arf,
No.
and it was a picture of like a little baby puppy, but it had like it had the cigar in its mouth and
Oh.
everything, and I was like, oh,
Weird.
I just thought that one was funny too. I don't know. Anyway, off topic.
So what's your peeve?
So what's your peeve?
Oh,
Don't even.
Well, think about it for a second.
all right. I'll
Let it
think
come
about
to you.
it for a second. I definitely forgot already.
I told you to write it down.
You did, and I did. I wrote it down.
Not very well,
I guess not.
obviously.
Here, you go. I'll think of mine
No,
again.
we can't. You're the last peeve.
He didn't do his peeve yet,
We'll
did
cut-
he?
Yeah,
yes,
he
I
did.
I did it first. Well, no, I
No.
did it second.
Oh,
We'll cut this out while you think about it.
ah, fair.
All right, well, why don't we move on, and we'll come back to you later if you think about it.
Sure.
That's a big if, by the way.
You had two jobs, a question and a peeve.
Yeah.
I remember the
I was
question.
going to say, you can start our questions.
Yeah, would you
then.
like to... let's move on to our questions segment. Why don't you go first, because
Obviously, you'll forget.
obviously you forget.
I remember the question.
Hit us.
So the question was, how was it again? It was like worded funny. I remember we had the one you told me if I don't ask it, you're going to at some point. 'Cause
No,
it's a
I
good
remember.
one.
I just want to know if you forgot and you're just hoping that I'll tell you what your question
No, it was
was.
something to do with the fandoms.
Yeah, so your question is...
Which fandom theory do you follow more than another one? Like, what's your favorite fandom theory?
Yeah, like, do you think is...
Question.
Oh, is it under there?
Oh, you weren't supposed to tell her.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was your phone.
No,
so
my
like,
phone's
what,
upstairs. 'cause
What
I don't
fan
need my
theory
phone.
for pop culture do you believe or do you like or whatever?
Yeah, what is your favorite pop culture fan theory?
Yeah.
That's what it
Ooh.
was.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Usually the person who asks the question goes first.
Which is how we're going to do it. What's yours?
Oh, mine.
I wasn't saying we'll do it differently. I'm just letting you know since you haven't been on the show before.
Yes, mine would be in The Incredibles when Syndrome, which is the grown-up version of Incrediboy, his suit.
I feel like, just as an interruption, I feel like you don't need to qualify, Syndrome, here's who he is in the context of the movie. He's Syndrome more importantly. Like, I know he was Incrediboy first, but
Maybe some people are like, wait,
feel like
Syndrome, what?
that is the essence.
yes.
Maybe somebody was like, wait, Syndrome, I don't remember that. Who's that?
But they remember Incredible.
I
remember-
honestly can't remember Syndrome's
I
name.
remember
I remember
Incrediboy more than
Syndrome.
Syndrome.
All right, you guys, just...
I remembered
You're
Incrediboy,
weird.
and then I had to ask you what his name was.
Yeah,
remember?
well, you're weird.
Anyway, it's not the point. The point is, so Syndrome, his suit had a cape on it, and Edna Mode was so against capes.
No capes.
No capes, because of all the people that have got sucked into a jet turbine or a tornado. But she also, I believe, was the one that made Syndrome's suit.
This is the theory.
The theory.
This part is the theory.
The theory is that Edna Mode made Syndrome's suit with a cape on purpose because he was a bad guy.
Specifically designed it with a cape. Which,
Specifically designed it with the cape.
spoilers for the end of Incredibles. Spoilers, skip ahead if you haven't
I
seen
was going to say,
it.
talk about 10 years old. I'm sure that one's even older.
Sure, but, I haven't seen Citizen Kane yet.
What?
That's
an
your
old
problem.
movie.
I don't even
You
know.
haven't seen it either.
I haven't even heard of it.
You're right.
Anyway, the cape is his downfall, so...
Yes.
Special guest,
Sprocket.
Sprocket, the
Roscoe.
dog. Roscoe Sprocket the
Sprocket.
dog. All right, he's gone. So yeah, that is a good one. I don't know if I believe it, but I do
I
like it.
usually
believe
believe
it.
any theory. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
why not?
Yeah.
Because there's no evidence to the contrary. Good one.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a fan theory that
That
they
one.
believe?
I have one.
Go.
I love the theory, and I don't think it's a theory. I think it's a real thing.
Yeah?
That Jar Jar Binks is the ultimate Sith
Okay.
Lord.
All right. So this is a...
Respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my cue to go.
No, he is. He
Yeah.
completely is.
If you're listening, you've probably heard of this theory. It made
Carmen
circulation
Sandiego, who's been on the show before, we are tight believers
Yeah.
that Jar Jar Binks is the ultimate Sith Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that.
Do you have any evidence for this?
Yes.
Okay,
There's
let's
like
move on.
There's lists
Yes,
of
thank you.
reasons that
Yeah,
show
yeah.
it, but mainly in Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
He's part of the government and everything like that, and
Right,
because
the
he votes
Senate.
because he votes Palpatine in,
Yeah.
that's mainly like that. But there's a bunch of other reasons why. Look it
Right.
up.
Yeah, there
I'm not going to tell you. Look it up. Yeah.
apparently behind the scenes stuff, Jar Jar was supposed to be a bigger part of the prequel trilogy, but after the just terrible audience reaction to his character after the first movie came out, they were like, "Oh, we got to scale back on the Jar Jar," so they cut the reveal. But I do think they did admit that that was supposed to be a thing, and now the theory that's speculation is that it's still true.
Yeah.
Snoke from the new trilogy is secretly Jar Jar in some capacity.
Well, he's gone now.
Well, spoilers, and we
Spoilers.
don't know.
He's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's mine.
Yeah. What do you have to say about it? You don't have to give your answer. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Cool.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. I like that theory.
I don't know much about Star Wars, but what I do know, I agree.
It sounds good.
That's odd being in this family.
I know. I just kind of tune it out. No. I enjoy Star Wars.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I just don't know
much about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have? Oh, I should go next, right?
It doesn't
Unless you want to
matter.
go first. You go first.
Okay. Well, I have one, but you guys haven't really seen the show.
All right. Well, it's fine. The audience might.
Our audience will know.
In the show, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, I had canon that Dirk Gently is actually a Time Lord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree. That sounds good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What happens in the show that is Time Lordy?
originally, the original novels by Douglas Adams,
Yes.
he based the character of Dirk off of the Fourth Doctor in Doctor Who.
Which is interesting because Douglas Adams was the showrunner for Doctor Who during the Fourth Doctor's run and wrote several episodes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, in the TV show, Dirk is almost completely opposite of how Dirk was in the novels, but the show is like based right after the novels end.
Sure.
So there's this theory that he's actually a Time Lord and he just regenerated, and that's why
it's so different.
that's why he's different. Like, he looks different, he acts different, and all that because he just regenerated and he's new. So a lot of people compare, like, novel Dirk was the Fourth Doctor, but TV show Dirk is more of the 11th Doctor.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they do have a lot of similarities. So people believe, I mostly believe, that he's a Time Lord that just regenerated, and that's why he's so different.
I have a new peeve. I'm just going to use a new one.
Okay.
Can I do it now, or do we have to wait for him to come back?
Say it.
All right, and then he'll edit it, right, to figure it out.
Right. Yeah. He will.
All right, so Adam, I guess, I don't know the nickname they gave me.
Mr. Pink.
Mr. Pink. My peeve is forgetting things.
You and your brother do this often.
It's so annoying because I have it and then it's just gone.
It's probably the male brain.
Probably.
Let's
But it's
do-
still peeveful.
No, I relate to that because I can remember very strange details, like a specific performance in Glee in a show that I've seen once 2 years ago.
I lied, by the way.
And
In a second.
like I can remember very random things, but I can't remember like somebody's name that I've heard 3 times.
Yeah.
Like somebody will say their name like 7 times in 5 minutes, and I'll be like,
You're like,
sorry, what was your name?
What was your name?
I cannot, like, I have terrible memory.
I have so good of a memory that it sucks. You can never forget the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
Also,
So what were you lying about?
my favorite fandom theory is not the thing with Incredibles at all.
Okay, and what is it?
It's so Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Have you remember in the very first one when Elizabeth Swann fell into the water and Jack Sparrow rescued her? I can't remember. Yeah, Elizabeth Swann. I was thinking.
Yeah, you got it.
I was like, I couldn't remember her character's name, so I just said
Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley. So Elizabeth Swann fell into the water, and Jack Sparrow jumped in to rescue her and everything. And then Norrington was like, "You are without a doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of." And he said, "But you have heard of me." The significance of that statement is astounding.
I've heard of this before.
Do you know the significance of this statement?
No, I don't.
So, Jack Sparrow used to be the captain of a ship under Norrington's command, and his job was transporting slaves. And he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he released 100 slaves. And so he was captain of the Black Pearl at the time. But it wasn't the Black Pearl. It was, I don't remember the name of the actual ship in the British Navy. But so Norrington sunk the Black Pearl and resorted Jack Sparrow to a life of piracy so he could find Davy Jones to have him bring up the ship again because it was his favorite ship.
Oh.
And because it was 100 slaves that he released, it was 100 lives he owed 100 lives. That's why his life was worth 100 lives, because that's how many slaves he freed. So that's why he said, "But you have heard of me," because he used to be a captain under Norrington's command. Norrington was the captain of the ship at the time, and Jack Sparrow just worked there, but his job was keeping control of the slave trade thing going on. Mm-hmm. So he released the slaves, said, "No, I'm not going to do this." So, because he said, And then he also said, one good deed does not save a man from a lifetime of whatever.
Servitude?
No, not servitude. I don't remember exactly what he said. He said one good deed is not enough to save a man, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Jack Sparrow retorted with, but it seems enough to condemn him. The one good deed being releasing the slaves, which started his life of piracy. That's why, but you have heard of me.
I heard a lot about that theory, and
So,
part of it
yes.
was that, he said that he was the worst pirate he's ever heard of, because pirates are usually, like, bad people, they steal, and they're, like, just terrible people and all that. But Jack Sparrow's actually a good guy. Like, he saved all of those slaves, but he was considered a pirate because technically he stole them by letting them free. Like, he stole them from their, like, owners.
Slavitude.
Yeah.
Servitude.
Yeah. And that's why he was considered the worst pirate, because he wasn't
good.
Norrington was referring to the fact that he only had a pistol with one single shot, no additional powder or shot.
Yeah.
And he half expected his sword to be made of wood. Remember that?
Yes.
He was referring to the fact that he had no crew, no ship, no weaponry.
I am well aware.
That's what he was referring to.
I am well.
He was not referring to that. He was just saying, you're a terrible pirate. You have no crew, no ship.
That wasn't the only time when he was considered a bad pirate. There were multiple times throughout the series.
It was like 3 times, and it was because he did something incredibly stupid.
Okay, so that was that's also a good theory. Do you have a theory?
Oh, I was gonna. I was stepped away for a minute. Are we back in? Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're back.
Yes.
Okay. All that was part of it.
Yes.
All right. Great.
So I lied about my Incredibles fan theory being my favorite. That was my favorite.
Well,
also.
honorable mention.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And then my peeve was also said.
Oh, good.
So you'll hear it later.
Great.
So
I
you'll hear
can't
it
wait
later.
to hear that. Probably was about me. Okay, so
100%.
my theory that I like is the Courage the Cowardly Dog theory. Have you guys heard this?
What? Is he a wizard?
I think I
Yeah, he's a
have.
Is he a wizard?
Has he always been a wizard?
The Courage theory
Is
is
he a hairy
that
wizard?
the Courage theory is that there's nothing supernatural or abnormal going on in the show at all. It's just from the dog's perspective. So he sees himself as this cowardly savior of the protectors of these people who don't seem to do much. The old
grandma and
man,
grandpa.
Marion, I believe her name is.
Marion and Eugene.
Yeah.
Eustace.
Good job, guys.
Eustace is like angry because he's the one who like disciplines the dog. He's the one who said like, "Oh, the dog went to the bathroom again," so he's like seen as very mean. Whereas Maurice, was it? I think
Lady?
Yeah, Maurice. I think
Maybe. I thought it was Marion.
Marion, whatever. The old
Look
woman.
it up.
Ask
Google.
She is like nice because she's the one who takes care of the dog. It's like, oh, cute dog. And all of the threats that are seen are just like things the dog doesn't understand and is scared of. So like a person who's like dresses in a suit and is overly nice and friendly but like is suspicious is seen as like this creepy like grinning dude because that's what Courage sees. And the fact that they're in the middle of nowhere because the dog doesn't have a sense of what's like outside of his own farmhouse. Like that's all he knows, even though they probably live in a completely normal part of the world. But just that's just what the dog knows. So that's my theory. I like it because it's like everything takes place from the dog's perspective, and that's like a dog's life.
That's kind of cool.
I
The
like
next
that.
That's a
Pixar
different.
movie.
I was gonna say that's a different movie.
Yeah.
That's a bug's life.
That's my life. So that's my theory.
I like that.
Nice. Good
So
question, Adam.
that is your question.
I said
So,
good question, Adam.
Oh,
question closed. Who wants to go next?
Not I.
said the cow.
Nose goes.
Wow.
That's the first.
Wow.
That's the first animal that popped into my head.
We're just talking about dogs. There's one sitting next to you.
I'm sorry. That's just.
Okay.
I said the cow.
That's like literally.
Move over.
Okay. All right. Settle down, everyone.
Sorry.
Okay.
Would you like to go next?
I got a question.
Got it.
Okay.
Totally not where I was going with that, but all right, that happened. Can't take that back now. My bad. I owe you 2 shots.
Shut up.
Okay. So, if you could give a 40-minute presentation on anything without any preparation, what would the topic be?
Ooh, what's yours?
Mine would be the show Dirk Gently. And why
Nice.
everybody should watch it.
we don't have to have that quick answer. You can talk about it for a little bit, but
How vulgar are we allowed to
You
go?
can go as far as
Without
you want.
mom sitting
Well, yeah, I
right
know.
next
That's
to you.
without crossing that line.
You can go wherever you want.
Yeah. Well, mine would actually be similar. Mine would be Doctor Who, and I'm not saying that because we just talked about it, because that's something that I happen to know a lot about that I wouldn't have to like do any extra research for, and there's so much to talk about. That's the thing. Like a lot of stuff, you'd be like, oh, it's good because it's got this in it, blah blah blah. But Doctor Who's been going for so long, and there's so much of it that you could just go for hours and hours on that. So
I agree.
Mine would be Doctor Who. And I know a lot about it already.
What's yours?
Mine's a topic that I've actually given 2 speeches on before.
Yeah.
Were they unpreparated
No, I mean they were in my speech classes, so I
wrote the
prepped
speech,
them. Is Jurassic Park. Just
Yeah.
know an awful lot about
And when
the
she says
making
awful, it's awful.
awful.
It's just spewing out information.
It is awe
the making of those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind
I
the
know an
scenes stuff.
awful lot about
You do.
it.
Every time we
awful.
watch it, I feel like I learned something new from you. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
That's a good talent.
Yeah.
You said a 40-minute
A 40-minute presentation.
Do we
on
have 40
anything.
minutes? I'm ready now.
No.
Oh.
No.
All right.
allowed.
Well, I would give
40 seconds, go.
I would give a presentation on why masturbation is a sin.
Okay.
All right.
No, you're not allowed to talk
say
anymore.
that
What?
with
No,
a
no.
straight face even. You're
Hold
just
on.
like,
I want to hear this. What?
So
No.
when a man or a woman touches themselves, that is same.
the dog is
Yeah, the dog is so
So let's say you're like in the mood and you do it. You masturbate,
Sure,
right?
go ahead.
You are a man touching a penis.
Yes.
That's gay.
Is it?
Being gay is a sin.
All right.
you're gay.
Well,
In accordance with the Bible, the good word.
I don't think we have time to get into how many things wrong you said there, but
You
let's
hit
just
all of
suffice,
them. Yeah.
suffice it to say, the bingo.
That was-
Let's say
that
There's
bingo.
a list of
That was the
offensive
joke.
things that you dare say.
A joke or do you
Yeah.
really think you can talk 40? I mean,
Oh, I could-
You, sir, can talk 40 minutes about anything.
I could
Yeah,
go
you
40
literally
minutes.
apologized for the cow thing like 40 minutes worth a second ago.
I could make a 40-minute presentation about that, and then at the end be like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you absolutely could.
I don't actually believe
Okay,
that.
do you have anything fun that you
Yeah, do you have
talk
anything
about?
Something,
fun?
something
Oh.
serious.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait your turn.
Oh, yes.
But
no.
I'll wait your turn.
Like honestly, I could make a 40-minute presentation, no preparation on that subject right there.
Sure, obviously.
I could.
Go ahead.
So that in essence, that's the answer to that question.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, video games. I can go
Cool.
40-minute
Yeah, you
presentation
sure
about
could,
video.
because as your sister said, you played that damn video game for 4 hours
Yeah,
today.
Fortnite.
It was. It was
Fortnite,
fun.
4 hours.
Four hours tonight.
No, what?
What?
Hold on. Stop.
English,
All right.
English, please, sir.
We're gonna pretend you didn't say that, and then continue with
other
your statement.
thing would probably be DC Comics, not Marvel Comics. Even though the movies I could probably talk about. But
I never
Who
read
cares?
comic books.
Okay, yeah. So DC Comics, which are very cool and also very long. They've been going since longer than Doctor Who.
Yeah.
The 1920s.
So he's
What?
already given his speech.
All right, so it started in 1927.
Do we have 40 minutes?
I mean,
This is about to turn into a TED Talk.
yeah.
What?
Anyway, go. Who else has? Okay, so that
What
was
was
your
your
question.
question?
I think
right?
we've asked
Good.
them all but yours.
So my
I haven't asked a
question.
question yet.
I thought you.
No, you started.
Did I? I did go first.
Yeah.
You did.
You're
Why don't you
special.
go?
No, why don't you go?
Why don't
you
you
go?
go?
I mean, I can go.
How does that make you feel?
My question I thought of on the way over, because Mr. Ed and I have been talking an awful lot about Scooby-Doo lately.
Yeah,
An
yeah.
I have a
awful lot.
Scooby Doo shirt. I'm not wearing.
Coolio.
I'm not wearing it now, but it's upstairs.
You're so special.
So the question is, what technically, quote unquote, old cartoon do you wish was still
Around.
on TV?
Pokemon.
Okay, cool.
Well,
nice answer.
Wait till she goes.
You say Smurfs. Mom says Smurfs. That's a good. I remember watching Smurfs.
Smurfs is, yeah. Well,
Why?
No. She's not on this podcast.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know.
Why don't you go first?
No.
No?
No, I don't want to go first.
Okay.
Oh, what are you gonna say?
I don't know. What are you
Okay.
going to say? I'll say whatever you don't
Okay.
say.
I would say Powerpuff Girls.
Okay.
Like the old ones. I know it's like
I would like to change my
I was
answer.
gonna say, I know that it's out again
Yeah.
and new. It's just not the same.
You didn't watch it, so you don't know. It could be shot for shot remake.
It's not.
Okay.
I have watched it.
You have
It's
not.
Yes,
I
I
don't
have.
believe you. Anyway, go on.
That's it.
There's
The Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah.
there's probably two that I would say.
Or the Flintstones.
Teen Titans.
Flintstones.
Teen Titans, like the original Teen Titans, not the Teen Titans
yeah.
Go,
I
whatever
love-
that bullcrap
I love
was.
that.
That one's okay.
That was
Again,
terrible.
Again, it's
Terrible.
good.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not bad.
And
I watch it.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
show.
I'm so excited for this, the reanimation thing, the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender they're doing. But it's a Netflix original series. They're doing Avatar: The Last Airbender live action, but the original creators of the cartoon are doing it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
So I was about to say, it's not going to be terrible like the last movie or whatever that was. We're not even going to talk about it. Amanda, answer the question.
Okay, well, first, I agree with you on both of those, but mine would probably be Danny Phantom.
Ooh,
I
Danny
love
Phantom.
Danny Phantom
I
was
Danny
loved
Phantom.
Danny
Man,
Phantom.
that or like
Alex
My
is over there
Life
like,
as a
crap,
Teenage
Storm on.
Robot. You ever watch
Yeah,
that?
I
That was
loved
a good
that one.
cartoon.
I wasn't like I liked it, but like it could have been. They could have done it a
They
lot
could have
better.
done more. Yeah,
Okay.
those were good.
All
though.
very interesting ones. Did you say the Flintstones?
I did say
that
the
is
Flintstones.
That is an interesting one because
I did like
something that I think is not very popular nowadays.
right.
Yeah, I think everything else people are
I
like.
just
yeah,
I watched it a lot when I was like really really young.
What was it? Habba Dabba Doo? Is that what he said?
Yabba dabba doo.
Yabba Dabba Doo.
Habba dabba doo.
Abba Dabba Doo.
Well,
But not the Jetsons.
yeah, I was just gonna
Because
ask
the
about the
Jetsons
Jetsons.
is so boring.
Yeah, how do you guys feel
Isn't that
about
the
the Jetsons?
isn't that
I've
the
never
space
seen it.
version of the
Yeah,
Flintstones?
yeah,
Well,
pretty
sort
much,
of.
but it's boring.
I have actually.
Oh.
I think I was either talking with you or someone else about those old Hanna-Barbera shows, and I was like, why? Because the Flintstones and the Jetsons are basically like they occupy very similar spaces in pop culture. But why is it that I and everybody I know hates or doesn't care about the Jetsons, but has a fondness for the Flintstones?
I think the Flintstones came out first, and then they were, and then
I think it's the opposite.
really.
I
Yeah.
think so as well.
And
Really?
I think it's because the Flintstones has a timeless feel to it. Obviously, like it's set in the distant past, but like the relationship, the family feels like
And Fred with Dino and the dog
Right.
and like
it all feels like, hey, that could be my family today.
neighbors.
Whereas the Jetsons is very 1950s. Like it is very
Yes.
much a futuristic version
where
of what
dad goes to work,
Yeah.
gets yelled by his boss,
Right.
at by his boss. Mom,
stays home. I
whatever.
guess,
They have a
yeah.
robot. Like it's
They have a
just not
robot
so-
who's a maid, a housemaid.
yeah.
Kind of off topic. It's about the Flintstones and the Jetsons, but do you ever notice like Flintstones, then the Stone Age, and then the Jetsons? They go ride around on jets.
You're
Yeah, I
very
wonder
clever.
if they planned that.
Yeah,
I
right.
wonder if they
Isn't
thought about that, about their titling of their show.
I'm very.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Wild.
Isn't that wild?
I can't believe you figured that out.
I don't think anybody has ever figured that out before until
Probably
me,
not.
so I'm the smartest man in
All
the
right. Well,
room.
mine.
Did you know that
Okay.
the city we live near, Flint, is built on Flint stone?
I did
Oh,
actually.
That's
cool.
why it's called
I didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah, is that why their water's polluted too?
Probably.
No.
Because it got Flint
Actually,
in the water.
no,
famously.
Flint is probably a filtration stone.
I think it is.
Actually, yeah.
So mine is actually another Hanna-Barbera thing, which you actually introduced with Scooby-Doo. We recently have been getting into Scooby-Doo, like watching the live-action movies they made with the Lillard in it.
Yes, and the Prince.
And the Prince.
And
I like the
Geller.
Spooky
Michelle
Island
Gellar.
one. I like
Yeah.
the Spooky Island
Spooky
one.
Island.
Like,
Yeah.
That one's awesome.
They switch bodies, and he's like, I can look at myself
So-
naked.
Right.
Of course you would say
Of course
that.
that's
Like,
what
of
you like.
course.
And I was like watching
Hi, Mom.
videos about Scooby-Doo and everything, and I think it's really cool, and I think it is also a thing that's timeless, and this is another thing that I know is technically on today, but it's not the same, even though I haven't watched it, so I
I
don't
was
know.
looking up fan theories
Yeah.
to try and pick my best answer. Okay, hang on to it for just a second.
Write it
Write it down.
Yeah, and I looked at there's one on Scooby-Doo, and the fan theory is that they're trying to avoid the draft.
Really?
Yeah, so you'll have to look into that and see how you feel about it.
Wait,
Okay.
trying to avoid the draft.
The draft,
Like
or the war,
Scooby Doo?
like the
The
mystery
gang.
gang,
Mystery gang.
How
which
does
Velma and Daphne wouldn't even be at the.
Probably not.
yeah.
how would that
I don't know. I
dodge
just
the
I just
draft?
noticed that when scrolling through the theories.
how would that dodge
I-
the draft? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out.
I read a similar theory that like the entire
Shit,
series
let me
took
just
place
Pull it up.
like after some kind of economic collapse, which is why everyone is criminals. Like people who are like hotel managers and who own mines are like putting on costumes and trying to scare people, not because like they're crazy, but because of like some kind of economic downturn.
Like the Flash.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
basically.
Flash.
Because the economic downturn, the particle accelerator exploded, and now average everyday people that now have powers are like, oh, I'm going to be evil because I have powers now.
That's not why they became evil.
You know what?
They
It's
were
basically
already
the same
evil.
thing, yeah.
It's exactly the same thing. Actually, no, I don't see a difference at all.
All right, well, good question, Joe.
Okay, well, if you want to get into it, this is the quick excerpt that it says. It says, the cartoon mystery franchise never really explained why a ragtime group of 4 dissimilar teenagers decided to travel in a van to no known destination.
Right.
So as far as fans were forced to develop a theory, as the show premiered in 1969, the same year as the height of the Vietnam War, the Scooby-Doo gang is driving to Canada to escape the draft.
Oh.
The theory... Yeah, and that's basically how it says.
And then they
The
just
theory.
find ghosts and monsters along the way to Canada.
Apparently.
And then they just like, oh, let's lean into this. Mystery Inc. We solve mysteries, yay.
Yeah, we're...
All right, then.
Well, I like it. I think it's neat. All right, so that was theories and TV shows all wrapped up into one.
Okay, what was your old peeve? Say it
what's your
quickly.
Oh, hearing your own voice in a recording.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we're over that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've done that enough.
Obviously with this, but
Not only do I do this, I edit this show, and then I listen to it again to make sure it's good. And I also, shameless plug, have a YouTube series where I play video games. It's called Mr. Red Plays, MrRedProductions.com. Mr. spelled it the long way, of course.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I knew all that. I was just saying, like,
I know what you mean, though. The first time, especially...
Yeah, you're like...
especially my voice.
don't sound
My
like that.
voice is just
I
nasally
hate,
and gross.
I hate the sound of my own voice.
You guys have normal voices.
Oh, that's because you're hearing them.
Everybody says
Yeah.
that. You guys all have normal voices. I'm the weird one.
Yeah.
Everybody says that.
My voice is like
Everyone hears
nasally and
themselves and
high-pitched.
they think that their voice is higher when they hear it because
My voice sounds gross either way, like to myself and when I listen to it back on recording,
you
I just
gotta
sound
get
nasty.
over that. You gotta self.
I know.
What is self-love?
I'm a theater major, and I hate the sound of my own voice.
You gotta get over
I
that.
have to listen back to all of my speeches in my public speaking class. Like, because I have to do like a self-evaluation of it,
Right.
and every single time I'm listening
you're
to
like,
it, and
"Voice,
I'm like, who
disgusting."
is that?
Maybe we should talk in a voice, like in a
should.
fake voice, like,
Yeah.
hello, I'm Skeletor.
We play D&D and your
I
brother
will never
definitely
do
has
that.
a million voices
Yeah.
that he uses.
I can do voices for like different characters.
How
and
come
stuff,
I
but
wasn't
not
invited
for
to D&D?
Because you live in a
You live in
different state.
Florida.
You know what? That'll do it. Never
You could
mind.
Skype in.
Okay,
Yeah.
question closed.
Question closed. Whose question was that?
Mine.
Yours.
Oh, now I have
We're
to
on
ask
to
one.
you.
And I was prepared for this.
He wrote it down.
We wrote all of the
Okay,
questions down.
I was going to ask a question that I've already asked, and it would be a duplicate, but instead I'm going to ask a question that I'm going to, a new one,
That
that
you
I'm going
will
to ask
ask again.
again later.
Is it a hypothetical?
Yes.
Damn it.
All right, but it's a good one.
I love
So,
Me for you.
if
I tried.
If you were given $1 million and told that you have to spend it, and you can't do it on charity,
Drugs.
What?
you have to get rid of all of it, and you cannot spend it on charity.
Drugs.
What does that mean? You can't spend it on charity.
You
You
can't
can't give
donate.
it to a charity.
Right.
You can't give it away. You have to
can't
spend
just be
it.
like, all
But
right,
you
Red
can't-
Cross
but
or whatever.
you can use it for yourself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want with it except donate to charity. What
That's
would you do with
rude.
it? Yeah, it's rude. It's a rude question. What would you do? How would you get rid of $1 million?
Drugs.
Would you have to get rid of it?
Yeah, you have to be completely rid of it.
By what time?
happens-
In 24
What happens
hours,
if you
it'll just
don't?
disappear.
1 month.
Oh, 1
A
month.
month?
Then
month.
you die.
Then you
Oh,
die.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Stakes are raised all
Can
of a
I
sudden, huh?
invest it?
No, you have to get rid of it. It has to be gone. And if you
What
do,
if I invest it for the month and then...
I know exactly what
if
I'll
my
you
do.
earnings?
succeed, if you fail, you die. But if you succeed, you get $2 million.
What?
There were so
Okay.
many questions
I got
to
it.
that question.
I got it. I
got
have
it,
it figured
though.
out. I have it
Do it.
figured out.
Go.
I found a loophole.
Drugs.
Oh,
I would buy $1 million worth of houses.
That's like
You could
four
buy like one house.
That's like 4 houses.
Yeah,
Small,
that's like
small
4
houses. Small houses.
okay.
Or something.
What,
Cheap
Monopoly
houses.
pieces?
Yeah, sure. But
That's so
not-
much.
that's
and
not
then
a
just like
loophole.
let people live
and
in
just
them.
let people live in them.
You can't
You
really do
Airbnb
that because
And then-
you have to pay taxes on the house.
But
You Airbnb them.
But if
Good.
if I get rid of all of the money,
I love that
and
website, by the way.
or I'd buy like a really big house or something and use whatever's left over to like stock it and let people live there, like let a lot of people live there, then like technically that's not for charity. I'm just buying a house.
Yeah.
But then if you said if I get rid of all of the money, I get $2 million.
Right.
I use that $2 million to keep keep the
why
house.
are you so
like,
nice to other people? Is all
I
I'm
don't.
saying.
I don't need that much
Right?
money.
Okay, but
You need
after,
to learn, Amanda. When you actually like
When you have to start like.
when you actually like see the real world how it is, you will learn to be more selfish.
You're
have,
almost there.
You have to be selfish to
Because I
live in the
used to
real
be that
world.
way too.
don't
I used
think
to
that
do a
that's
lot of
true.
things for free, and I was like, "Oh no, it's perfectly fine." But now I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
"It's your time. Like you gotta."
you don't get that back.
Yeah.
I think everybody has their own path to making this world, and we shouldn't be like,
No, you-
here's what you should think.
You can't I'm not saying just be a
be
jerk all the
prepared,
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not saying be a jerk all the time, but you have to be a little bit
You have to-
selfish to
yeah,
live
you
in the
have
real
to
world.
Okay,
The
I'm
real
take care of
world is
yourself.
I'm gonna roll this dice here.
the real world.
Yeah,
is a
all those
terrible,
houses
terrible
burned
place.
down.
Oh,
Good, and those people were in it. I
You're
hope
not
you're
in the
happy.
real
What?
world. You're
All right,
sheltered
so-
in Michigan.
Adam,
But
how would you get rid of $1 million?
Drugs.
Amanda's house is burned down.
Oh.
Do what with it?
use them.
$1 million
For what?
for the drugs? Okay, but you
That's
have
a
to
month though.
You have to survive this. You can't,
Oh,
yeah, you
see,
have
that's
to make it out
different.
of
Yeah,
this
if you
alive.
die, you die.
All right,
If you
so
die, you die.
I would first buy a new car.
Okay.
And then
Because you told Gerald.
probably wreck it, so have to buy another one
Within a month?
within a
Yes.
month.
Do you know your
No, no.
brother?
Yeah, no.
I would buy a new car and then possibly a house, and that'll eat up the majority of the $1 million.
Yeah.
Because a house in Florida, like a good, like probably like $350,000 for a house, and then depending on the car I get, that's another $200,000. I want a nice car. So we're already at $550,000.
Wow.
So $450,000 left. A lot of food. Like it's a nice house. You gotta fill it.
Make sure
Stock
it's,
Food
uh,
will last for a month.
I was going to say, make sure
Most
it's
of it will.
long-lasting food, like canned
and
stuff.
so that's another probably like $2 or $3
You
grand
could buy
right
like
there.
a half of a cow. Or you could buy a whole cow.
A whole cow
You
is
buy
like
half a cow with
I meant the meat.
45.
Like you could.
I'm at,
people
so
buy halves.
You also have to think though. I'm at $450,000 left.
I mean, you could spend
not gonna spend-
$450,000 on food.
That's so much food. That's
Yeah,
that's like a warehouse.
Buy another house with the rest of the money.
That's
Put the
actually
food in it.
Put the food in it. That's
so.
it.
What I would do though is I would pay to have a bowling alley installed in the basement of the house,
That'll probably take care of that.
and a tennis court in the backyard, and that should be about $1 million.
why don't you just buy a house that already has that stuff in it?
well, that's
I'm
probably
sure.
be $1 million.
Hey, listen, we don't need you coming in here with your logic.
Listen.
Listen.
But Logic's a great rapper, so he can be whatever.
All right, just, okay.
But do you guys listen to Logic at all?
No.
Ah, he's really good.
Okay, go on. Are you?
Oh, that's it. That's $1 million. A house, a car, a bowling alley, and a tennis court.
I like it. Cabira?
I'd definitely buy in a house. A nice one.
A nice
A
one.
nice.
You gotta just.
Nice one.
Noise.
And then after that, who knows?
It's $1 million house.
Go on a cruise.
I mean, you could.
I would definitely go on a I would stop working for that month. Actually, I could stop working because I'm going to spend it all and then I'm going to get $2 million after that.
That's right, yep.
So I'm done working.
Yeah, you're done.
We're going on vacations. That's it.
Just vacations.
We're
One
going
day,
to- even-
one day vacations for the whole month
No,
and spend as much as I
we'll
can.
go on vacation.
Okay.
You'll take a month off of work and then go on a month's worth of trips. You don't
Right,
have to stay
yeah.
in one spot for the
No,
whole
go
month. You can go
anywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountains and then the Grand
we go
Canyon
to all
and then
four
Mount Rushmore.
of the Disney worlds that are over on the other side of the world.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
I
Those
heard
are
that
the-
not all of them are great.
I don't care.
They're all phenomenal.
We going.
They're all
None of-
phenomenal.
None of them are great. America.
Oh!
That's a horrible place.
That's a scary place.
Wait,
worse than
oh,
Six
I'm sorry.
Flags.
No, go ahead.
Real quick, because we were talking about like really, really nice houses. Did you know last year Eminem put his mansion in Michigan on the market for $1.4 million?
I did.
Oh, so, okay, how would you spend $1.4 million?
I was about to say, hold on, can we pool together and each
Oh no, wait.
buy a mansion together?
Wait, no, because the second month you get $2 million. So find something to spend $1 million
There you go.
on.
Okay.
Then the next
Amanda,
month,
smartest person in the room, we
I
have
know.
confirmed.
No, because I haven't given my answer yet.
True. Well, I'm talking about the logic in that right there. That wasn't her answer. That was just a
Well, you haven't heard my.
oh
Get a genie.
drugs.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Withdraw it in cash and burn it.
Why?
But then you won't be
You
able to.
don't have it
Oh.
anymore. You got rid of it.
Yeah, but
And
then you don't get to
don't
enjoy
to
it.
use it
You don't get to
for-
enjoy it.
Wait,
That's
you
fine. I don't
enjoy
need
it for
to.
the month up
You-
until like the last
There you go.
Whatever you got
second,
left.
Yeah.
and then burn whatever you have left.
Whatever
you
I
got,
want until
You can
You got
enjoy
rid of it.
$3 million, or you can just burn $1 million to get
Because if
to.
you go past one day, then you die because you didn't
And-
burn this money.
and
But you-
hope that you don't get arrested because that is illegal.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
well,
Federal crime.
To burn money?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's new. I'll be
it's
right
not.
No.
It's been a law since money was
That's
invented.
new.
New to
They didn't tell me that.
Okay, Mr. Serving our country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't know the law.
me. New to me. I'm not a police officer or a lawyer.
All right. Well,
I literally swab a P-way for 4 hours a day.
One more time.
I mop a floor.
okay.
A what?
So
A P-way.
Passageway. We call them.
P-way.
no, it's a P-way.
It's where everybody pees and you have to mop
Question.
it.
No, that's not what
Closed. So that was
That's it.
my question. That was
That's
your
all
question.
Peeves.
Okay,
Or
well,
Qs.
guys, this has been
Enlightening.
Qs. No, Peeves and Qs.
Oh,
He like enlightening.
I learned I learned that you can't burn money. That's enlightening.
Honorable mention for my peeve, because I'm never going to say this is my peeve, but all of my professors do this thing, where, and I'm sure you guys know professors, they'll do this thing.
Adam doesn't.
Adam doesn't. Where they want you to answer the question. They'll be
I'm
like,
sure I have it worse.
and the cosine goes through the,
Sign.
And they want you to answer.
and they're expecting somebody to be like coefficient or whatever it's called. That
Covalent
sentence
bond.
didn't make sense, but you know what I
Covalent
mean.
bond.
But you never know what they're looking for, because it's like, and
And
everybody
what if you
knows
say it like wrong?
water is a.
Right, it could be a million things.
Yeah, it's like,
liquid.
it's like, I don't know,
Moist.
liquid,
Water is a
material,
moist.
physical object on Earth. I don't know. Like, you never know what type of answer they
I've
want.
definitely been in
Yeah.
classes like
Yeah.
that. You're
Exactly.
I hate it.
So
They
what do
do
you
that-
want us to say?
They
And
do
then-
that in high school too.
To go off of that, I
Yeah.
hate it when you give them an answer and then they're like, "No, that's wrong," and then they like reword your
And it's
answer,
a-
and
yes.
it's
Exact
like that is
same
literally
thing.
Right.
because in my anthropology class, I have to give this specific example because
Uh-huh.
it really bothered me.
Yeah.
So Dirk Gently is my favorite TV show,
No,
And-
our audience has no idea that's a thing.
You
now.
don't say.
I've never heard of that show.
and
That's
so
wild.
so Dirk is a holistic detective, and he explains
Too late.
that
So long.
being holistic means he focuses on the interconnectedness of all things. So in my anthropology class, which is about like the study of humans from start to finish and how things are connected,
Yes.
she was like, "Does anybody know what the word holistic means?" I shoot my hand up, and I'm like, "It's the interconnectedness of all things." And she was like, "Not necessarily. It's about how one thing connects to another thing when they might not necessarily be directly connected." And I was
wanna
like, "That is
punch that woman
literally
in the
exactly
face.
what I
Yeah.
just said."
Should
That
have
is
been like, oh, so the
What I
thing
said.
yeah, it's
So my
literally
answer-
exactly what I just said. I was like, "Thank you, Douglas
great.
Adams,
Right.
for like enlightening me."
That is very
I
nice.
was
Does that
so
conclude
mad.
today's section?
It does. So,
Class dismissed.
Beer.
class dismissed. Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you want
You're
to
welcome.
find me on Twitter, you can do that at Mr. Spell out the long way, red.
I don't want to do
2342. That's at Mr. Red 2342. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Peeves and Qs. You can email us if you want to email us at peevesandqspodcast at gmail.com.
What's your
if
Twitch
you want,
handle?
Mr. Red the Long Way
Ooh.
_productions.
You didn't think you'd have an answer.
I knew he was going to have an
my-
answer.
from my
I have a
Twitch.
rebuttal. I was going to say, never mind. I follow way too many people on Twitch.
Yes. If you want to follow the production company, that's at Mr. Spelled the Short Way, Red Prod.
Is that-
Red Prod, Mr.
When
Red
you say
Prod
Mr.
Productions.
spelled the short way, is that all one word or is there
Mr.
space?
Spelled out the short way. Spell that out. That's my Twitter handle for the
good,
production
good,
company, yeah.
good. All right.
I thought it was the
Only
long way.
20 characters.
Guys,
long. So that, yeah.
shut it down.
We'll be back next week for more Peeves and Qs. So tune in, subscribe, like, share, review, tell your friends. Anyone else have anything they want to say?
I can't smell things.
Is water wet?
It is.
Yes. No. Water's not wet. No.